Hello, I am Andy Hawbaker. I'm a realtor here in Northern Colorado with Coldwell Banker Realty, Northern Colorado. And I focus on Fort Collins, Loveland, Windsor, Greeley, and Longmont. Today I'm going to do a quick market update for everything that's really Larimer County and Weld County. So let's dive in, talk about what's going on in the market and what that's going to mean for you. Okay, so now we're looking at the median sales price for each one of the cities, Fort Collins, Loveland, and Windsor. So as you can see, for the month of April, so I'm filming this in May of 2025. The month of April, the median sales price in Fort Collins was $575,000. In Loveland, it was $497,500. And in Windsor, it was $599,000. So those are all up. Windsor's actually down almost 5%. There's a lot of new construction going on in Windsor. That kind of explains that a little bit. But Fort Collins is up almost 3% and Loveland's up 2.5% from 1 year ago. Okay, so let's look at what's really happening in the market here. The number of new listings. So Fort Collins kind of had a nice jump here. We're up 20% almost, 19.4% from last year's number. So there are currently 406 listings in Fort Collins. There's 202 listings in Loveland and 154 in Windsor. That's a 31% increase over a year ago in Windsor. So lots of new homes are on the market. So the number of homes for sale, there's 473 homes for sale, 316 in Loveland and 274 in Windsor. The number of closed sales for the month of April 2025, there were 242 closed sales in Fort Collins, 125 in Loveland, and 93 in Windsor. So Windsor's down just slightly 2% from a year ago, but Fort Collins had 6.6 more closed sales than a year ago. So market's actually pretty hot. You're going to see national headlines saying that because of mortgage rates that sales are way down, and that's really not what we're seeing here in Northern Colorado. Okay, so the median days on market, this has been kind of flat in the last couple of years. It went up a little bit here. 42 days on market in Fort Collins, 45 days on market in Loveland, and 50 days on the market in Windsor is your median number of days. So the month supply, how many months supply? This means with as many sales as there were last month and the houses on the market, if no new homes came onto the market, how long would it take to sell through those? 2.3 months supply in Fort Collins, 2.8 months supply in Loveland, and a 3.3 month supply in Windsor. So a balanced market is considered 5 to 6 months supply. So this still is not a balanced market, but we are definitely seeing that it's kind of slowing down. There's more homes on the market. There's more choice out there. It's actually a pretty good time to buy a home if you look at all that. Okay, so and then let's look at this. I always think this is interesting. The percentage of the original asking price to what they got. So back in 2001 and 2, you had to pay 105% over 5% over the asking price. We're really not seeing big discounts here. In April, Fort Collins was 99.4%, Loveland was 98.9%, and Windsor was 99.6%. So pretty close to the asking price is what you can expect to get on these. The price per square foot, $263 per square foot in Fort Collins, $247 per square foot in Loveland, $210 per square foot in Windsor. Okay, so if you're a seller, this is really important knowledge here. So the number of showings before it goes pending and the number of showings per listing. So in Fort Collins, on average, this is the median. The median number of showings was 9 before a home went under contract. In Loveland, it was 7, and in Windsor, it was 6.5. Okay, so that's how many showings it takes before you go under contract. Now, here's the number of showings per listing. Fort Collins has 5.9 showings per listing. Loveland had 4.9, and Windsor had 3.9. That's per month. So what I just said was it took 9 showings before you went under contract in Fort Collins, but you're only getting almost 6 showings. So that's why it's like a month and a half, 2 months to sell your house. So you really shouldn't be shocked if you're a seller. You shouldn't be shocked if it takes longer than 30 days to sell your house. And this is exactly why. There's only 6 showings, 5 showings in Loveland, and then in Loveland with 5 showings, it takes 7 showings before you're under contract. So it's taken longer than a month to sell your house. So that's the real data that we have for Northern Colorado. That included Fort Collins, Loveland, and Windsor. I like to keep an eye on both Larimer County and Weld County. It just kind of gives us a good picture of what is going on in Northern Colorado. Sales prices are up slightly. The number of transactions is actually pretty hot, but there's more homes coming onto the market. So buyers, listen up. This is what this means to you. For buyers, there's actually options. You can take a look at multiple homes and make your decision. Like I just said, it may take longer than a month for a house to sell. So now those are median or average numbers. So if a house is priced really well, it feels like a good deal, it'll move immediately. I had a listing last week that we listed on Thursday or Friday, and on Sunday we accepted a offer. So if it's a really hot listing and it's priced well, it's gonna move fast. On the other hand, I also have some listings that have been on the market a little bit longer. We priced just slightly above what's viewed as a really good deal, and that really slows things down. So for home buyers, you can kind of be a little bit picky, but if you want your agent to be talking to the listing agents and see if there's other activity on it or not. But there are deals to be had, and there are plenty of homes out there. It's not crazy like it was a couple of years ago. So actually a pretty good time to buy. Rates are kind of up and down. That's a whole nother video to be honest, but rates aren't as bad as a lot of people think. You can still get a 6.5 or kind of middle 6s for most people. So it's really not as bad as the media is going to make it feel. And then lastly, if you are a home seller, here's what you want to know. I kind of said this already. If the home is priced well, it's going to sell fast. If the home is just priced just a tad over what it should be, it'll sit. And the market is just picky that way. Home buyers are so well educated now with Zillow and everything else. They're watching. They know what everything's selling for in the area. You're not going to get away with pricing it $20,000 too high. You're just going to sit on the market. So you need a professional judgment on what your home is worth, and talk through that on how you're going to price your home for sale. So my name is Andy Hawbaker. I'm with Coldwell Banker Realty, Northern Colorado. And again, I work all of Northern Colorado with home buyers and home sellers. If you have any questions about anything that's been talked about here, reach out to me directly at my website, which is www.andyhawbaker.com.